Hey. Hey, rockers and TikTokers. I thought I had some little lip something or other here. Let me see if I can use this. This will be funny. No, you know what? I don't even like that stuff. I'm just going to put on some ye olde chapstick and let's get it started, shall we? So hey, Angela, nice to see you. I know it may be weird, Carissa. I like seeing the people who are tuning in right at the beginning. It gets unwieldy fairly soon because a whole bunch of people will show up, but I like to do the little romper room beginning. I love it. Okay, so nice to see some folks tuning in, showing up. Maybe you've met me, maybe you haven't. I'm not so sure. But yeah. Am I anybody else having little tiny candies for lunch? Katie, good afternoon from Indiana to you as well. I am giving you a good afternoon. It's technically now afternoon from Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? And yeah, Destination Decluttered. Decluttering the leftover Halloween candy, as one does. Actually, I will share with you, not to humble brag, I was so proud of us today because my husband and I both have sweet teeth, I guess, like you wouldn't believe. Pittsburgh had snow. No, thank you. I'm glad I'm on this side of the state, Heather. Oh my gosh. But my husband and I both have sweet teeth. And so I was really proud of us because we did eat a lot of candy last night, waiting for the trick-or-treaters, and we got trick-or-treaters. But this morning, on my morning walk, I walked to our local food bank and I donated a bunch of Halloween candy to them so we would not have to kind of process it through us. So I was very proud of that because it doesn't always happen. But anyhow, so welcome everybody. My name is Beth. I am Destination Decluttered. I'm a decluttering life coach. What does that mean? It means I help you declutter your home, but I do it in an approach that also takes into consideration the clutter in your head, the clutter in your heart, the clutter in your life, the clutter in your schedule. All of those things kind of intertwine and dance and play with each other. Now, when everything's playing nice, when everything's playing nice, that's when you're living a life you love. When things are a little bit out of whack, it happens. It is. Trust me, I've been there. Oh boy, have I been there. When things are out of whack, that's when your life isn't feeling like you want it to be. A life you love and all that. Now, I like to, where am I right here? There we go. I just readjusted my calendar there. Calendar, I gotta focus. Here, let me just do this. I readjusted my telephone right there. Telephone, I'm so old fashioned. My cell phone right there because I wanna make sure that you see that behind me, we've got two little dots right here. And basically this is map, like if you're on a map, on a road map, on a traveling on a road trip. And you are here today, November 1st of 2023. I was thinking I was going to do a TikTok about this right now, but I was just thinking about, I don't know how your brain works. I don't, but I know how my brain works, and how my brain looks at the entire year is almost like a circle, and it's almost as if it is a clock face, like an analog clock, right? And for whatever reason, the way my brain sees it is I see December is at the bottom. And so January is between like 6 and 7, 7 and 8 stuff. Things get a little wonky in the summer because I love summer. And so summer to me is just, I want it to last for forever. But I see today, I'm looking at this beginning of the month thinking, wow, we've been through, like we're at, between 4 and 5. And then December is between 5 and 6 if you were looking at a series. So we've gone through like, whatever, 10 months of this year. Now I mentioned that. Yeah, Robin is saying, hey Beth from cold New Jersey. It is windy here. Happy November. But I offer that to you just as a thought and not to freak you out and not to make you feel bad or none of those good things. I want you to use these ideas as power to say, yes, let me do something. That 10 months have gone by in 2023. And I hope you had good stuff happening and that your house is less cluttered than you started the year with. But if it isn't, if you aren't where you want to be, or you thought you'd be in November of 2023, let's do something about it. You know, that's why I show up. That's why I am here. I only show up on TikTok. Trust me, if I wasn't here to help you, I'd be out like laying on the couch reading a book. I'd be, traveling. I'd be laying on a beach because as some people are saying, it's cold, you know. And so I'm here to help you. Jennifer is asking, why isn't January noon? Or 12 o'clock. Jennifer, I've thought about this. I think it's because I was born in the summer. I was born in the summer, and I love this. I love the warm weather. So for whatever reason, I can't I don't know if you envision things in your brain. My brain, this is how it works. And for decades, even as a child, I thought of the calendar as this way, as this circle. And, down at the very bottom of it is because maybe it's cold. And then we get up to the top of it and it's like, hooray, it's summer. And then you start careening down, So I am here to help you. So Callie Rose, good morning to you as well. Callie saying, you are so helpful and appreciated. You're welcome. I bet you are helpful and appreciated yourself. So I appreciate you showing up and sharing me that. Okay. So let me just ask you this, you guys. Everybody's talking about it's so cold. Yeah, I am not a fan of the cold. I will share with you one of my, when I talk about living a life you love, do I have something here? Oh, you know what? On this mug I made for myself. Drive your life in the direction of your dreams. You know what one of my dreams is that I'm making a reality? It's as simple as I want to spend some time in warm places when it is cold at home. That has been something that has been on my list for years, and I have done that. And the more I do that, it isn't like a one and done, like, oh, that was nice, but I don't have to do it again. It's more like a yes and more, please, thank you. So I am actively, that's one of my destinations, is how can I spend more time? Okay? So I just want to offer that to you. Find a destination you're excited about. Find something you want to do, and then here's the cool thing. Our brains, the world wants to help you do this. No, I'm not going to get all manifesty and stuff like that. I'm a sarcastic New Englander. But I also know that sometimes can shut you down to keep you open to the delights that the world has to offer. And one of the things I'm here to offer you, I know I'm talking about delights and manifesting and all that. Maybe it's just the sugar from my leftover Halloween candy. I'm here for you to help you. Love in Palm Beach, it says help. Okay, so here's what we do. First, if you could do me a favor. Could you, and actually it will do you a favor too, is if you've just met me and you want to learn how to declutter your home, your life, your head, your schedule, drop me a follow as that funny weight loss coach from Ireland, Osen, says. Drop me a follow if you haven't followed Destination Decluttered and you like what you're hearing. Please do that. The other thing is too, no, Mommy Salami, Kit Kat. We got some Twix, Kit Kat. I am here to help you. So let me ask you this. Where are you stuck? I like to talk in road trip and driving analogies. So I'll shoot you this one. You are the driver in the driver's seat of your car. There's only enough room for one person there. It is you. However, you have things that are either encouraging you to move forward in decluttering and in the life you want, or holding you back. I call those like your invisible passengers. They're your backseat drivers who want you to stop and not move forward. You also have a co-pilot. I like to think I show up as a co-pilot being like, hey, let's go. We can do this. I can help you. That wonderful person, I almost said your kickstand, your sidekick in the passenger seat. You're driving. We're going to where you want, but you just have to tell me. And as soon as you do, we have encouragement and maps and problem solving and fun and music and snacks and all that. I make that happen. Now, if you're stuck, I like to think of that as a roadblock. Imagine you're trying to drive forward to your dreams, your decluttered house, but your handy-dandy backseat drivers have conveniently thrown a roadblock in front of you. So what is the roadblock? What is a roadblock? What is a thought in your head or a circumstance that you are stuck with that if you put it in the comments, I can help you with it? Okay? Okay, Callie Rose, I will offer this to you. Callie Rose is just saying, I have so much leftover candy. Only had 7 trick-or-treaters with how cold it was. We had maybe 7 to 10. We don't get a lot, but boy, my husband loves the Halloween candy, putting the lights up. So we had a bunch too. What I ended up doing was I ended up walking this morning down to our local food bank and donating some of the candy. So maybe Callie Rose, if you don't want to eat it all, you're certainly welcome to do that. But if you're thinking you have too much, isn't this a great idea? Notice this. When we have just the right amount of candy, we feel good. We eat it. Ooh, that's tasty. But we all know as soon as we're eating too much candy, it doesn't have that same effect. It actually makes you feel worse when you have too much. Now, that's with too much anything. That's too much of a good thing. Like we were having this discussion the other day, my husband and I, too much of a good thing is never enough. But David Bowie says it. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of true, but not really. I don't know about you, but I have my just right point. My Goldilocks of that's too cold, that's too hot, that's just right. I think you have that too. And it's not just with temperatures. It's about what you eat. It's about the amount of items you have in your home. So if you have too much, what got you that way? But also, what's getting you stuck? Why do you continue to have too much when you realize it doesn't make you feel good? Okay. And as we speak, as I wait for your answers, I will be eating my leftover Halloween candy. All right, Jukes. I hear you. Jukes is saying, ending up arguing with each other when trying to clean up. Trust me, my husband is awesome. I love him. We get along so well. But it really takes some mindfulness to keep my eyes and his eyes on the prize so that we don't get into squabbles when we are decluttering and things together. We did this yesterday, and I really had to step out of crabby wife mode and into coaching with non-judgment. So non-judgment about the other person, compassion, and desire to have an agreed upon mutual beneficial outcome. So notice that when it tends to be finger pointing and blamey and things, course correct. If you're starting to veer off in that direction, say to yourself, hey, wait a minute, if we start getting bitchy at each other, we're not going to get to where we want to go, which is ideally is how we want the house to look and feel like. Now, the interesting thing to me is we all, you, me, your partner, my husband, his friend, everybody has a different set point, a different level of what they have, different thoughts about clutter and stuff and how things should look that make you feel a certain feeling about clutter and stuff and how things should look. And when you have those two together, what comes out is what you do with the stuff, what you do. I like to call it your head, your heart, and your hand. Because if you don't want to, if for whatever reason, if you don't know what these are, you tend to hang on to stuff. If you get more aware of what's going on here, you can release the things. Okay? So just notice, try to really show up with love for yourself first, but also love and compassion and curiosity for the other person to say, I wonder why this person is so reticent to deal with this little thing, And I will admit to you, it is not the easiest thing in the world, but damn, it's worth it because you're both going to feel better when you have less clutter, and it's so good to learn how to work together as a team, okay? So just notice that. There we go. Somebody just said to donate your leftover Halloween candy to a church or a homeless shelter. Yeah, there we go. Here's a funny thing. Callie Rose saying about, and we're talking about Halloween candy. My husband will eat it, and I told him to bring it to work to share it with his coworkers. That was one of the benefits, I will say. One of the few benefits. Well, no, there were many, but I won't digress into corporate life. But I really loved the fact that I had a place to bring the leftovers, the excess. Notice the too much for my life, but I could share my abundance with other people. And that was something I loved doing. That's why it was great when we had a break room, bringing in all the leftover Halloween candy, sharing your abundance with somebody. Think about that with your clutter too. Your clutter is just too much stuff that you don't want anymore. That's not making you feel good, like leftover Halloween candy. And think about how good it feels to share it with other people who could appreciate it. Okay? Greensboro, North Carolina, says Tammy, triumph moment. 2 months of painful purging. I have my bedroom back to an Airbnb feeling. Tammy, I love that. I love that you had that idea of having it to be an Airbnb feeling. what I want to just offer to you is notice your use of painful purging. Ask yourself why it was so painful. Get curious about that, because here's what I love to do when I'm doing one-on-one coaching with clients. I do one-on-one coaching with clients for 10-week packages. We meet on Zoom once a week for 10 weeks, or 20 or 30, however long it takes to get you to where you want to go. And what I like to think of, what we always do is say, what worked for you to get you the result you want? And then how did it feel when you were doing it? To me, this is a difference between being on a road trip between point A and point B, being on a road trip, and being on a commute. So just ask yourself why it was so painful, because if it's painful, you may not want to declutter like that again. I like to make it enjoyable. I like to enjoy the journey and make it a treasure hunt, make it feel good, because when something feels good to me, I am more likely to show up and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And every time I chip away at a little bit, it gets better. Okay? All right. Elimia is saying, living in a deceased parent's house, 2 years, still haven't packed and decluttered, overwhelmed and frozen. Okay. First of all, my heart goes out to you that your parents are deceased and this is your situation, because it doesn't sound like it's lighting you up. How about this? Notice the words you're using. Everybody. Pardon me. Don't worry, that was the last of my Kit Kat. Notice the words you use in your head and that make you feel a certain way in your heart, and how you externalize these. Notice how you're saying you're frozen. So frozen can mean you're cold. Maybe you want to warm up, but also frozen could feel like you're frozen. You're stuck. You've got a stuck feeling that you can't move. I work in the opposites a lot. I like to have fun with this. What is the flip side of frozen? Maybe it's moving around, reminding yourself you can do something about even just one thing. Breaking that ice. You're frozen in ice, you can't move. If you move and change and make a decision to one thing, you've kind of broken that spell. Okay? When you feel overwhelmed, here's another one. I've got TikTok videos about this. I share it pretty much in every single TikTok live that I do, is when you feel overwhelmed, and I incorporate stress under that. Stressed and overwhelmed. When you feel overwhelmed, that has the word over in it. I want you to think of how there are ways that you can dismantle that overwhelm yourself, starting by thinking of what I call all the downs. Start with your physical body first. It's the easiest thing to do. A few deep breaths down into your lungs, slowing down your breathing and breathing deeply into your lungs. Moving down, moving your body instead of being frozen. Notice my hands are going like this. It's almost like when you want to you want to pet a dog who's stressed out, or a little kid who's stressed out. You want to just calm them down. Calm yourself down. You can even probably, pat your heart. This is where, to me, the stress is and the overwhelm. Say, I got this. Slow down, breathe down, calm down. And then once you feel better in your body, say, how can I feel better in my brain? Which is to get all these thoughts out of my head, to write these things down, to slow down and write these things down. And what do you want? What you should be writing down is, what do I want? Do I want to stay in this house? If I do, how do I want it to look and feel? If I don't want to, what can I do to get it emptied out so I can sell it? And where do I want to move? All right? So notice, please, oh please, oh please, I show up to remind you of the power you have to change your situation. And often it doesn't start with the big external things. It starts small and incremental in your body, in your nervous system, in your nerves, in your physical body, in your brain, in your thoughts, in your heart. All of this, as I said earlier, when everything is playing nice, this is where you get a life that you love. And you can do something about it, okay? I am here to help you with that. That's why I do one-on-one coaching, is because I know sometimes these things aren't just an easy peasy, I got a tip off of TikTok and it revolutionized my life. Sometimes that's all you need. That's okay. And if you need more than that, that is also okay. Get the help you need to get you to where you want to go. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Notice that you're not the only one too. I'm a Gen Xer. Wouldn't you like to be a Gen Xer too? So I am often riffing on pop culture, but somebody just said, I think it was Carol, and then they all went zooming away from me, is you're not the only one that, it's, totally agree. Thanks for the advice. I emptied my mom's apartment 8 years ago after she passed, and I still have most of it. Carol, I ask you, get curious about what you want in your house and what you don't want in your house. If it was your mom's stuff, She had fun with your mom. Your mom had fun with that stuff. You don't have to. That's how I roll. Your life is just, and your stuff and what you want and what you don't want is just as important and valid as what your parents had. Now, I say this because it took me a long time to get here, I will say. It took me a long time to get here because I grew up in a house that was really liked certain styles of furniture and decor. And it was like, no, you can't like that. I have a story in my family about how my aunt was totally dissuaded and discouraged from buying mid-century modern furniture in the late 50s and early 60s. And I'm thinking, holy Moses, if she had done that, I would totally want that. But no, she was told that what she wanted wasn't right and she needed to think of something else. And I think that's bullshit. I do. So I want to empower you to say whatever you want your life and home to look and feel and function like is awesome. And it's just as valid as anybody else's. So start to think about what you want and let's take the actions to get there. Okay? I will say this. I know that going through sentimental clutter is not easy. I talk about when I coach the 3 levels of clutter. You've got surface, stored, and sentimental. Sentimental, the stuff that brings up the stuff in your heart, is always going to be the one that takes the most energy, but it is also feels good when you go through it, when you hone in on what are the things that you're saving for you that you want. All right. Another thing that I want to mention too about that is if you're interested in kind of, what I'm doing and how I'm doing it is I have a Destination Decluttered email mailing list, kind of a members type thing. It's free. You just go onto my website, destinationdecluttered.com, and you join up. I say that because I share all the good stuff with the people on my mailing list first. If any of you right here are on the mailing list, you saw that I just sent out a mailer moments before this TikTok because I had some news to share with you that I wanted to make sure you knew before just regular old folks who just happen to be swinging by. Check your mailing list, check your email, check for that. And if you're interested in that, today's the first of the month, actually. I'll say this. One of the things that comes with your, now this is going to sound like a commercial. It's not. I'm just stating a fact. Because one of the things that you get when you sign up for my mailing list is automatically attached to the welcome email, is a printable free habit tracker. This is mine from October. You can see I kind of fell off the boat here because I'm human. I went away and then I didn't catch back up. But now I'm going to print out my new one for November to remind me of the little things that make a difference in my life. If I walk, if I drink water, if I drink, makes a difference in my life. So that is attached, and it's a great thing to start the beginning of the month to say, okay, especially going into this season, to me, Halloween candy goes into Thanksgiving, goes into Christmas, goes into New Year's, and the next thing you know, your brain offers, I can't do anything for the next 2 months. I will start planning my life for January 1st and after. And I want to call your brain on that. I want to say, maybe you think you can't do because it's so busy and yada yada. Just, you can print this out, go on a little road trip and remind yourself to move your body, hydrate your body, do things that make you feel good, because when you feel good, you do good. Okay? What do we have now? Okay. So Amy is saying, one doesn't mind the clutter, but makes me have anxiety. Argue all the time of how and what to declutter. Amy, notice how, and everybody, notice how the stuff that surrounds you makes you feel physically. It gives you anxiety. Don't take it. Don't take that anxiety. One of the easy ways to not get the anxiety is to get rid of the stuff that causes you the stress. Now, I know it can be difficult when you're decluttering with other people, but what I will say is this. When you start with yourself, when you start with you and you start with your stuff, you learn the process. You're not trying to help somebody else with their stuff immediately. What you do is you start with yourself. What do I want in my life? What do I not want in my life? And how can I get rid of it? It was an eye-opener to my husband, actually. So when we've been working, you've seen some Destination Decluttered videos that I do. Sometimes I stumble on my words. We have been working on the basement. Now I say we, it's mostly me because I want to see this looking different and better. I want us to work on the floor. There's different things. And it was an eye-opening experience for him when we were down there yesterday for me to point out, and this was not with judgment or whatever, it was just a fact that 80 to 90% of the stuff in the basement that's not our mutual stuff, like you know, Christmas decorations and paint cans and stuff like that. 80 to 90% of the stuff down there is his. I said, really, all that's mine is this thing right here, and this thing right here, and this thing right here. Everything else is yours. And so just notice that I've been working on my stuff, and I have whittled down. I am whittling down my own thing. So work on your own clutter first. Don't try to solve somebody else. Sometimes it's easier to poke at somebody else. Work on yourself first, and then you'll learn how to declutter. Sometimes that may be all it takes to get somebody else motivated when they see what the result is when you're doing certain things. Okay? There we go. Tammy Stevenson is saying, I had to change my mindset. Yes. All of this is changing your mindset. Just so you know, it all starts up here for all of us. And then what you say up here and here. And then all of this changes what you do out there. When I keep, notice your hand, when I keep something or I let it go. And it's all up here. Okay, I had to change my mindset about keeping or letting go. I am very sentimental. I am sentimental too, but I've turned more practical. I've turned more practical in my old age, as it were, because I realize somebody else is going to have to deal with this stuff if I don't. And I may be just the person, maybe it's 70-year-old me, maybe it's 60-year-old me, is going to have to deal with this stuff if I don't deal with it right now. So if I deal with it right now, if I'm the youngest I ever will be, everybody, today's the youngest you ever will be. Think about that. So with the energy I have and the mental capacity and the focus and the drive and all those things, what can I do today so that even 10 years from now, I will be thankful that I did what I did because it's less work for future me. Notice that, okay? And notice that when you make a decision that feels good in your heart and feels good when these two are playing nice, then you're more likely to be cool with and feel good about the decisions you're making to release things. I love it. I actually did a video down the basement, and I had a table of stuff that I had been a little bit overwhelmed by. I've already started getting those things to their better homes. And one story in particular is delighting me because it's a book that I have that my dad had that I don't want, but I knew of a place that I thought might want it, and they are thrilled to get it. So it delights me to go ship that thing later this week to the people who are going to like it. Okay. What do we have? Okay, here's a good one. Juke, I totally get this one. Okay, I love this. So many good things here. And I love, too, when I'm scrolling back. What happens is when I start to talk to help one person and all of you at the same time, because it's so universal, all these things that apply, is the comments stop in front of me. So then sometimes they go whoosh in front of me, so I have to scroll back. Okay. Juice was asking, what about a fear of decluttering? I love that you mentioned fear. Fear is what keeps you stuck. Love is what gets you going. The fear of decluttering due to not having money to replace something you may need again. Totally valid thought. Totally valid feeling. But just get curious about that. The stuff that I'm asking you to say, here's the thing. Clutter has a different definition for everybody. To me, clutter is stuff that it just gets in the way, that does not provide a benefit from your life, either kind of immediately or kind of in the future. Now, I say this because, so for example, we have a few handful of items, and now if you think about it, this time of year is when we start to bring out the holiday decorations. Think about that. Those are things that you only use once a year, but they're not clutter because you use them once a year. Now, maybe once you open them up, you realize you maybe have too much of it, and it would be easier for you to enjoy the holiday and to decorate and to not be stressed out about decorating because there's so much. Maybe your quantities are just off, but there are certain things that just don't fall under clutter. This is you getting clear with, am I using this, and will I use it in the future? And if you think you're going to use it in the future, make a plan to use it. But also, here's a good thing. And somebody mentioned, somebody recently just said the 20 by 20 rule helps me. Callie Rose is saying it helps her. And I just saw it on somebody else's. I get a lot of, I don't think you'll be surprised to know that my FYP from TikTok has kind of, to me, it has a lot of travel stuff because I love to travel in my real life, but also a lot of other decluttering people. And it's like, if it costs less than $20 and it could be, cost you 20 minutes or so to replace it, then think about that notion. What I say is believe you can borrow. I like to think of this. I don't even maybe want to buy it again. I may need it for this one-off instance, a rice cooker, a crock pot, something like that. I like to say, believe you can borrow. Do you have a friend who, there's a thing you're thinking, I don't really use this. I haven't used it in a long time, but then you get that, but as soon as I give it away, I'm going to find a need for it. It happens. It has happened to me, and I've made TikTok videos about it, but I've survived. And what I've realized is I could use something else for that instance. I also know that I have friends, neighbors, people on Facebook groups who have too much that would be thrilled to let me borrow something. So I choose to believe a thought, believe I can borrow, that makes me feel better in my nervous system and my heart, that makes me feel okay. Okay, you're right. If I do get rid of this, if I do let this go of this, there's a way for me to get it back if I need it. So I can release it and trust and feel safety and a bit more better and just right in my nervous system and head when I go through that process. I hope that helps. Okay. Alrighty. I love it. I'm going to read a bunch of these, and I will point this out too. So the folks that are just tuning in here on TikTok Live, my name is Beth. I am a decluttering life coach. My coaching is called Destination Decluttered because I love to travel, and I pretty much treat everything like a road trip. To me, if you're not excited about where you're going, why are you even getting in the car? How can you get yourself excited about where you're going? And that's your future. I have a mailing list, destinationdecluttered.com, if you want to hop on that. Today's the first of the month, so when you get your free habit tracker, you can print it out and start saying, okay, what are some things I know that were going to make me feel better through November and December? The other thing is, too, the reason I am tending to read the questions out loud is because I have been told it's been helpful to other people who have shown up on these TikToks and have become clients, things like that, because I do one-on-one coaching, is to download these TikTok lives to my phone, and then I upload them to Destination Decluttered on YouTube. This allows you to, if you're just passing by and you're saying, oh, that sounds really interesting, but I don't have the time, this allows you to then just follow up and listen to them. And I like to say listen to them. When you see me on here, it's just me and my face and my hands, and I'm occasionally pointing to a map behind me, but I would love you to just listen to it. Pretend it's like a podcast. You don't need to see what I'm doing to have this benefit you. And I say that too because many times people have said to me, hey, when I see you come on TikTok Live, I actually put my gadget down, I put my phone down, I turn the speaker up so I can hear you, but I go and declutter while you are talking. I freaking love that. Do that. Make the best of this time. I'm going to be on here for like another 25 minutes because then I get into coaching and consultations in the afternoon. So put down the ducky if you want to play the saxophone. Am I right? I crack myself up. I do. Put down the phone so you can listen to me, and then just think 25 minutes of decluttering, man, whatever room you are in right now would look so much better than it does right now, just with even 5 minutes of decluttering. Play with that notion. Not be like, I don't have time, it's too big, whatever. Chunk it down. Start small. Chunk it down. 5 minutes of decluttering is like 5 miles on a road trip. You're not where you started. You're 5 miles ahead. 10 minutes, you're twice as long. Keep on going. Every minute that you declutter is a minute away from how it used to be and closer to how you want it. Okay? Notice that. What else can I do? Ooh, Cassie Kelly is saying, speaking of parents who have passed on, it's my husband's parents. How do I approach that? You approach it with love and sensitivity and compassion and non-judgment. And you ask your husband how he feels about the stuff and when's a good time to start working through it. Everybody's going to feel a different sense of grief. Sometimes the emotion feels so raw that you don't want to deal with it. But after a certain point, and that certain point is going to be different for everybody, they may feel like, okay, now I can kind of open that door to see. Many people, the reason we're afraid to declutter is we are afraid of feeling feelings. We are afraid of feeling feelings, both in the sad feelings and the feeling of, I need to make a decision about this because this decision means my life is going to go one way or the other. Okay? So notice that. Yeah, so Carol is saying when her mom first passed, I felt like every piece I would get rid of, I was losing a piece of her, but she says, I no longer feel that way. I'm slowly going through it. It's hard, but I'm doing it slowly. Yes, the sentimental clutter is the slowest part of your entire journey to getting your life to look and feel and function like you want it to. But don't give up just because it's slow and it takes a lot of gas. It takes a lot of energy. But at the end of it, you will come out with more appreciation for the people that you had, but more appreciation for you to making your life where you want it to look and feel. Okay, just notice that. Interesting. A friend suggested, says Laura, a friend suggested I buy a high quality antique sofa so I could go pass it down to kiddos. No, because they don't want what we have. We are different completely. And notice that your friend had a thought about stuff. I don't want my nieces and nephew to feel obliged in any way or guilted into keeping any of my shit. I have a few items that are not really mine. I almost feel like I'm caretakers for heirlooms from another generation that I will kind of do the heavy sell on, but they are useful tools. They're pretty much like some silverware, pretty much. I think that's about it. And maybe some dishes. But other than that, allow the other people, allow yourself to have the life you want, allow your children, the people, the next generation to live a life that looks and feels and functions like they wanted to. Okay? My kids are not sentimental. Carol, I love that you know that. Many people are, some people aren't. Honor who they are and don't try to make them sentimental if they're not. Sentimentality is just us attaching stories to stuff. You know, like for even something as mundane as, see this? I just happen to have this on my desk. So see, this is a jar and it's got a bunch of these like clips on it, right? So this is how I did this, but I specifically saved this jar because I'm sentimental. See this? First of all, it's a glass jar. I like glass jars. Second of all, it says fluff on it. You know, Fluffinettas, Flush from Lynn, Massachusetts. I'm from New England. I like old-timey stuff like this, but I've made it into something useful. I have a sentimental connection to a jar. Other people don't. That's okay. Just had to notice that. Okay, Lizette Tomatoes is saying, I can't get rid of clothing. Notice that's a thought. I can't get rid of clothing because, reason, I want to sell it. Okay, but I never come around to it. Get yourself curious about why you're not coming around to the selling. Does it seem overwhelming? Have you not done it before? Do you think your clothing, what is it that's stopping you from the selling? Now, I know, I'll say this. I've got some clothing in this closet right over here that I need to sell. I don't need to sell it. I could give it away. I want to sell it. I want to give it a shot. But one of the reasons I'm not doing it right now, I'll confide, is because to me, it is springtime clothing. I have it in my closet, and I have decided that I'm going to wait until the spring to sell those few items of clothing because I am hoping that when it is more seasonable, it will get me more money. So I'm not doing it now, but I have a plan to do it, and the plan gives me peace of mind. But I am going to do it. When you say you're not doing it, just get curious. I will say this too. See how much everybody, if all of us here, if you have stuff that you're holding on to, clothing, silverware, jewelry, collectibles, anything that goes under the category, the umbrella, the header of this may be worth something someday. I want to sell this. I don't want it, but I think it might be worth money. Find out today if it's worth money. Find out. Overwhelm and stress thrive in ambiguity. Find out. This may be worth something. How do you find out? You turn into eBay and Etsy and you do a Google search and you see not what people are asking for it, but what people have bought it for. That gives you information to make a more educated decision. I have a piece over here that I literally bought it for like $5, but I thought it was something cool back in the day. Not for myself. I never really liked it, but I used to be into selling stuff. So I was like, that looks like a good thing. And it's kind of interesting. Nope, I don't have it right here. But what I did was I have sent out, I did a Google search and I was like, wait a minute, somebody paid how much for that? So suddenly I am taking a different route towards getting rid of that because it could make me a couple of bucks. If it said, no, nobody knows what this is, I might have just given it to a friend to sell it for like $20 in his shop. But notice that if you don't know how much something is worth, find out how much it is worth. And also, kind of like playing the stock market, sometimes you can think, well, maybe it's going to be worth much later. And sometimes the market can fall out. Think Beanie Babies. Okay? Think of all those fake collectibles, all the precious moments that people paid big bucks for. They ain't worth nothing no more. And notice how one of the reasons you're hanging on to it is the money thing. And see how, what if it was worth nothing? What if you couldn't sell it? It might make it easier for you to just donate it to somebody. Okay? I love this. Gwami is saying, I haven't thought about it like that. Future me doesn't want this anxiety. Yeah, so don't make it anxious. Notice the anxious. Find ways. There are ways. I teach ways for you to calm down the anxiety. So it isn't an anxious process. And then there is going to be some uncomfortable moments. There are going to be some uncomfortable moments when you are decluttering, but getting on the other side of that and moving forward through it, having done it and never have to do it again, you set yourself up for the rest of your life not having to make those decisions because you made them back now. 50 new messages. Oh my gosh. Okay. I got to pick up the pace here. I love helping. This is why I think I love one-on-one coaching so much, is I like to go deep because that's where the change happens. And it's hard for me to do that with every single one of you when it's just on a TikTok call. I will say this, TikTok live. I will say this, if you like what you're hearing and you want more of this, but in a smaller package, is the Destination Decluttered email mailing list at destinationdecluttered.com/join. We do a monthly group Zoom call. Now, there's about 10% of the amount of people that show up for a TikTok live, about 10% of that shows up for the Zoom call. So I say that to encourage you to say, if we can get a little bit more deeper, you can get the help you need. One-on-one coaching to me is the best way to do that, but even experimenting with that smaller group can be fun. So if you think that this is, you want to hear more, you want to be able to ask your questions on Zoom one-on-one by just opening up, the microphone as opposed to typing it. I love doing that. So I just wanted to offer that there. All right. Yeah, hamming it up. Notice the thoughts you have. Thought about it yesterday. Found my kid's bed set and was going to keep it. My kids won't care. You care. You know what? It's a sentimental story. My kids were that small. They're not small, and it makes me sad. Yep. Overwhelming stuff. All right, here do we have? What do we got here? Let me zoom back, and this is where I hate to borrow. Julie, get curious about why you hate to borrow. It's all up here and in here. Okay, I feel obligated to keep things from people who are no longer here. Get curious. Why are you obligated? Are you afraid you're going to get in trouble? Are they going to come out of the ground? And I say this, I kid because I love. I play with this because just notice why you do feel obligated. When you understand better where you're coming from, you can make more powerful choices. Or you can say, yeah, I still want to keep this. No big deal. Okay? There we go. Gift communities, love it. I need to get on the declutter side of TikTok. Oh, there's a bunch of us. I love it. I'm glad Neurospicy Creative says that's helped me a lot. You're welcome, especially Neurospicy, because I have got neurospices in my family. I probably am neurospicy myself. But the wonderful thing is I have found a way to work with my brain, with my nervous system and my brain, and my life fucking rocks. And I want yours to rock as well. Okay? How do I begin and decide what to let go of? Right here, right there. You start with the end in mind, as that 7 Habits guy says. Create a life that you want to live, and then furnish it. Picture in your head what you want your home to look and feel like, and then furnish it in your head. And you say, does this thing belong in that, does this thing belong in that house that the way I want my house to look? Yes or no? If it does, where do I put this that makes sense to me? Where, if I don't, where's an easy way for me to get it out of there? There we go. Okay. Gwami is saying, why is it easier to declutter when someone is on the phone or the background? Because it just makes it feel better. I know with my ADHD clients, we talk about body doubling, and sometimes it just allows you to focus, to think that somebody else is there. What I say is, whatever tools you can put in your toolkit that help you get the stuff done you want to get done and get the results you want and the time you want, use them. I don't know why it works, but if it works, use it. It doesn't harm anybody, Notice that, There we go. I love it. People are saying they listen to it. Somebody likes my humor. Thank you. Waka waka. I'm here all night. Try the veal. Or table 12, your pizza's ready, because I don't like veal. What else do we have? Okay, not living the life you want at all. Don't know how to get the energy to work through all the stuff. Well, you know what will give you the energy is when you know that you're working towards the life you want. It's kind of crazy that way, but think about a commute versus a road trip. When you're on a commute, you're like, whatever, I gotta get to work. Okay, guess I'm stuck in traffic. This sucks. Wow, look, here I am. How about this? Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so excited. I'm going to drive to the beach. I got the day. I'm going to drive to the beach. Sure, I'm in traffic, but you know what? I'm going to the beach. Going to the beach. I'm excited. I'm not even there, but I'm going to be there. And when it feels great going there, notice you will get the energy when you're doing this, all of the stuff of the decluttering for a reason. Maybe this is my ADHD or whatever, but I'm like, if I'm not interested in something, I mean, oh my God, I can't be the only person on my report card that said, Beth would be so great if she just applied herself. I applied myself to the stuff that interested me, and the stuff that didn't interest me, I was like, yeah, whatever. Do the same thing with your own life. Okay? There we go. I love it. TikToker just said, I discovered a fill goal works better for me than time. I love it. Fill a box or fill a trash can. I love that. I may incorporate that into my coaching. I'm always learning. I am a better coach than I was at the beginning of the year. And that's why I will say this to you. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, you might want to get in on it before the end of the year, because my rates always increase at the beginning of the new year, because I've become a better coach every single year that I coach. Okay? Notice that. But I love that idea of a fill book. How do you suggest letting go of things you know have resale value, but you don't have the time to sell? See if there's someplace else that can sell it for you. You know, there used to be places like, I don't know, I will sell your stuff on eBay for you and they take a percentage. Just notice that if they take a percentage, is the money going to be worth it? The answer can be yes, the answer can be no. There we go. Would you consider a live on selling clothing? Maybe. You know what? I'll write that down, because I know in October I had some things. So selling clothing. No, I don't do it a lot myself. A lot of people do, but I can give you some pointers. Sure. Thank you for that suggestion, Lisa M3332. Okay, Emmy is saying, my parents passed. My garage is full of their things. Notice that they're in the garage and that are not in your home. What I want to do is I want to assure you, you are not a bad person for not wanting any of their stuff. It does not mean you didn't love your parents. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It means you love yourself as well. I love you. I don't have to love your stuff. I want my house and my life to look how I want my house and my life to look and feel. And it does. And you've seen in different kind of backgrounds of my different TikToks and stuff like that, my house, boy howdy, does it not look like my parents' house. That's okay. It looks like how I want it to look. So just notice that. Yep, consignment. If your clothing is current, consignment. Vintage stores, if your clothes are very not contemporary, notice that. I love it. Queen of Crazy 1987 is saying, I sell stuff and have decided to apply all the money to my home equity loan. I declutter and pay off. Notice that's a destination. You're doing it for a reason you're excited about. Won't it be great to pay that off? Okay? Notice that. Marissa is asking, do I have any ideas on how to organize books or in getting rid of them? Yes, I do. I will say this, notice this, because I come from a book family like you wouldn't believe. Seriously, so many books. My mother's 80-something. She is still ordering books from Amazon. There's no physical way she can read all of her books before she goes, even if she lives to be over 100 like her mother did, okay? What I want you to do is get curious about your books. I bet you may have 2 categories. Categorizing is going to help you. Okay, categorizing and also understanding what the story is behind those books. A couple things. Fiction, nonfiction. Nonfiction books, you read it, you know what the story is. Will you read it again? You can answer that. I have some fiction books I've kept, others I've easily given away. With nonfiction books, what I found was, so growing up in a book family, growing up as a collector, growing up as a person interested in things, prior to the internet, the only way you could find out information was by the written word. Somebody's mowing the lawn. To get books on things. And those books were hard to come by. If you wanted to find out about diners or, vintage Fiesta ware or old-timey records or whatever it was, or, architecture. Prior to the internet, the only way you could do that was the books. Now things are different. So, Marissa, get curious about what is in your book collection. I discovered myself, even in living in this house for the last 20 years, We have 2 bookcases, kind of like these, in our living room. They are filled with books, but they don't get, but we're not adding to them like we used to. I also realize that there are books out there that I know that are resources that I have sat here on my computer and Googled information that I know is out there in those books, because here's the thing. When you are looking for information from a printed book, you can't hit Control F and find the keyword. And the crazy thing is I'll never forget this, is once I was looking up the information and the source for the info I got was a book that I had out there, and I was just being lazy, aka more efficient, saying I can find it right here and not have to get up, go over there, open it up, look for it. So get curious about the books you want, and you can say, it's okay, you helped me then, but I don't want you moving forward. Now, I'm not going to clean out my bookcases because they look good for where I am, but I will say I would have a different conversation about my books, if I was moving somewhere else, because I don't want my house to look totally empty. I'm not minimalist like that, but if I was moving into a new place, I would definitely be weeding down my collection of books because I might want that place to look and feel and function differently. I always picture myself moving to a place in Palm Springs, California, even though I don't really have any interest in moving that. But when I think of that, I'm like, I don't know if all these books would go with us. Maybe half of them would. Who knows? Okay. Hopi is saying, I'm drowning in items. Notice the words you're using. You're drowning. No, here's one of those little, thing with the SS Minnow on it. Here, you're okay. You're not drowning. Notice that drowning. Again, from the beginning of this TikTok live, that just right feeling when you're kind of floating around and you're like, oh, this is kind of fun. When you get to be too much and overwhelmed and up over your head, that's when you feel drowning. Notice how even talking about drowning can make your body want to breathe, because drowning is not a good feeling. Calm down your nervous system. And I say that in the best way. There are ways that you can over to down. Breathe down, calm down, slow down your nervous system, then write down the stuff that's bugging you, make a plan, and then make a roadmap out of your list of things you want to do. Okay? The overwhelm is drowning. Don't you want to feel more like you're buoyantly splashing around, having fun at the feeling of just right, where your head is above water? You can do that. Okay? Okay. Hazel says I got a cereal box with Chad Johnson on it. They had it at Kroger, limited edition. See if anybody else wants it if you don't want it. Okay? Oops. There we go. How are the bookcases enclosed? Oh, they're just like this. What do we have? Your mom needs a Kindle. She's got a Kindle. She just needs to have, honestly, she struggles. I know she does this. I will totally, pop culture, diagnose my mother with undiagnosed and untreated ADHD. She doesn't focus long enough to do it. Her brain, she's not working with her brain. She's fighting against it. And I have tried to help her. I spent a couple of years ago, going up to where she lives for a month to declutter for her. But instead of changing it, when you don't change up here, the clutter just happens again. I love her anyway, and I don't want her to feel bad about how she's living the rest of her life. But I know myself, I'm not going to change her, but man, oh Manischewitz, as I like to say, man, oh Manischewitz, do I have a plan, and my sisters do too, for what we're going to do with her items when she's gone. And let me tell you, they're not coming to my house. They're going elsewhere. Having a plan in place, even if you can't change that person, have a plan in place that aligns with what you want your life to look and feel like, what you want your home to look and feel like. Okay? Pam 0689, I'm struggling with the same thing. How do I sell my mom's Christmas bowed china? Facebook Marketplace, eBay. There is Replacements Limited, which is a great warehouse and resource. I actually went to it in North Carolina on a road trip. But they will definitely give you pennies on the dollar, because they are an intermediary. They are not selling it for themselves. They're buying it for themselves. Find somebody in your neighborhood or somebody in your family who wants it and give it to them. There's so many ways. There's so many ways you can release the items. You do it. Pick the one that's easiest for you, that takes the least amount of effort for you to get the result you want. And if the result you want is a lot of money, that may take a while. If the result you want is just sharing them with somebody who's going to appreciate them, that may be easier. But you do you. Okay? There we go. What else do we have? Oh, this is a good one. Mag is asking, how is it that I can organize and declutter for others but not for myself? Easy peasy. You cannot hear the stories in somebody else's stuff. To you, it's just stuff. When you're around your stuff, your items are speaking to you. That lampshade, that jar, that chapstick, that clipboard, that, whatever, that little thingamabob. All of those things, when you look at it, not only does your eye see it, but it tells a story. It opens up a file and tells a story about that item. And then you look at the next thing and you hear a story, and then you hear a story and you hear a story. That can be exhausting to your brain. When you're in somebody else's house, you don't hear their stories, but man, do they hear theirs. What I like to do is make sure that if I have something in my house, if I look at it, it's telling me a good story. It's telling me, yep, I remember when I got that, I like it. Or even if it's something like a mug. Yeah, I like this mug that I barely drank out of. It fits right. Not like, oh, that's that one that has chips in it. Notice how your brain is involved in all of this. We haven't even talked about the hands, but what's in your head that makes you feel a certain way. Oh, that's a thing that tells me a good story. Or, oh, that's a thing that reminds me of something bad. A souvenir of something bad. Why the F would you keep that in your house? So every time you look at it, you feel bad? No, life is too short. Life is too short to feel bad. There's other things out in the world that you can't control that are going to make you feel crappy. Why on earth would you keep stuff that makes you feel heavy, weighed down, drowning, unhappy, discouraged, defeated? Notice when I'm talking about this, even I'm like, oh my God. No, don't do that to yourself, silly. You may have been taught that it's like bad to get rid of things and it's good to acquire things. That was just other people having different relationships with stuff and money and things and what those things meant, status symbols, spode china versus paper plates. There's a thing, there's thoughts and feelings. They both function the same when you want to put food somewhere, but man, do they have a different story behind them, don't they? My grandmother's china. It's like that was a big thing to them to afford it back in the day. They didn't have a lot of money. So getting a fork in their silver pattern meant a lot. Getting the dishes, and we're just different now. And it's okay. We as human beings are evolving. Notice how our parents' relationship to stuff is different from ours, and our relationship for stuff is different from theirs. And then our relationship with stuff is different from the generations beneath us. We are all part of an ever-evolving community. Even 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 1823, they weren't busted up about clutter because the Industrial Revolution hadn't happened and mass production of stuff did not happen. So you survived and thrived with fewer, more quality goods. After World War II in the 20th century, at least here in the United States, they had all these factories that had been making things for the war that they still wanted to be making money, so they flipped it over to consumer goods, and that's when you get this explosion of mass-produced items that you've been advertised to say your life is lacking unless you have this. Notice these things that get you up here and in here that make you go like this with your money and then say, oh crap, now I have all this stuff. All right? Now I have to scoot because I'm hopping on to consultations and coaching, but if you like what you heard, I'm going to be doing another TikTok live. What days? Today's Wednesday. Oh, tomorrow. Oh my God, I did this because I'm a human and I just thought this would be fun. 8 a.m. tomorrow, TikTok live, and 8 p.m. tomorrow, TikTok live. It'll be interesting. But do something for yourself between now and then to get yourself decluttered. Sign up for the Destination Decluttered mailing list. I did just put a bunch of consultations on my calendar if you're interested in one-on-one coaching. And I will say this, if you're interested in one-on-one coaching for next year, sign up for it now so you get the time slot you want and also get the 2023 prices. If it feels overwhelming for you to say, I can't even deal with coaching now, but man, next year I want it, sign up for it now, pay for it now, and you get the good rates, and you get your first dibs for where you're doing it, okay? This has been awesome, you guys. Thank you so much for your helps, and I will see you later. Bye.